to the channel. My name is Annalisa and today I'm doing a baking video. I'm going to be making these. They're cats, but they're cake pops. And I'm also going to be making some hot chocolate while we wait for the cake pops to show. So to make cake pops, you need to start with, my cat's running past, you need to start with a cake. And I made this last night and I made chocolate because I'm going to be covering them in chocolate and they're all the same flavor, then it's just going to taste better. But you can make white chocolate and cover it in white chocolate too, or mix it up. I cut it into bits like this so that it would cool faster. There is a very fun part to making cake pops, and that is you're just going to turn this whole cake into crumbs. And you just cut it and smush it around until it's all in little bitty crumbs. Now normally when I make a cake that I'm just going to eat, I make it from scratch and have a kind of gourmet sort of cake. I'm making a mess. But since I'm just going to make this into bits and then mix it with a load of frosting and cover it in chocolate, there's no need for delicacy here. We just need the base so we have something to add more fat and sugar to. And once it looks like a pile of moist dirt, you can put it in your bowl that you're going to be adding your frosting to it in. And I'm going to be adding a half a can of just canned frosting. I also tend to make my frosting homemade because it tastes a lot better, and also it doesn't have the 10 million weird little ingredients in it. But once again, since we're going to be covering this in chocolate afterwards, it's not such a big deal what the delicacy of the individual bits taste like, and it's more about just getting that fat and sugar in there. I'm starting by only putting half the cake in because it'll get a lot smaller once the frosting has wetted it down, so that will allow more room. And the next step is to once again, this is not a neat recipe. I mean, I'm sure some people could make it neat, but I'm not one of those people. I'll just clean it up later. Now, doesn't that just look so appealing and delicious? Now that I have fully homogenized my frosting and cake, I'm going to be making it into little balls and then put them in the fridge to chill, and then they'll become hard enough that I can dip them in chocolate and they won't fall apart. Hopefully, except they probably will fall apart because that always happens. Now, while those are chilling, I'm going to be making some homemade hot chocolate. And for this, I need a big pan. This is a 3-quart pan. And I'm going to be putting a quart of milk in it, along with other ingredients. So hopefully that should be big enough. And then, as you can see, I have measured out my little ingredients like they do on the cooking shows, so that I can just dump it in and not measure it every time, because that's what takes the most time in a lot of cooking, is the measuring out. So first is a cup of chocolate chips. Then this is pumpkin pie spices, which is cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, cloves. Is that everything? Yeah. And I'll put the ratio in the description because it's hard to communicate for out loud. This is a tablespoon of cornstarch. That's for thickening. And now the milk, which a quart is 4 cups. So I'm going to do this 4 times. And make a mess, as is expected. And 4 tablespoons of sugar. And now I'm gonna put it on medium heat. And I'm not gonna touch either of those things because that would result in melted plastic and generally a bad day. And while this is heating up, I'm going to be whipping it. I'm also gonna use my Halloween spatula because I can. So here it is pre-garnish. And there it is, all done up. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, so it's a different day. The chocolate has dried. These are cat ears, okay? These little chocolate chips, they're cat ears. Also, I've not put my balls on pops because that is the point at which most cake pops go wrong because they slide down the pole or they flip off of it or they're just it's not secure. So they're going to be little cats that sit, and because of course the chocolate dried while they were sitting, they have a nice flat spot on the bottom. And of course, since I put the ears on after they were after I dipped them in chocolate and not before, the ears are facing up when you set them down flatly, and it's very nice that way. The original recipe actually called to put them on beforehand and stick them on with dots of chocolate, but that or dots of frosting, but I tried that a couple of times with some tester ones and they just didn't stick very well, so I think this is better. Now the other thing I've done between now and then is I have prepared some frosting for the decorating of the faces. Obviously you can pick whatever colors you want. I have chosen yellow and orange because orange is kind of like pink for the noses and it's Halloween-y, and yellow for the eyes because all my cats have yellow eyes. While I'm doing this, I'm just going to talk to you while I do my decorating because a lot of my making of these I've not been able to talk to you while I made them because there were people in the room and I felt shy of recording audio while they were there, so I just did video that I would speed up and make silent later, and also because obviously they were making noise so the audio wouldn't be very good. This is melting on my hands. You may, if you don't melt chocolate a lot, you may not be aware that once you've melted it once, it's a lot easier to melt a second time just in your hands because with the heat you've broken down some of the bonds between the molecules, so it's just less likely to stick together in the future. I have made cake pop. I went through a season of baking like, I think it was before I went to Bible school, so it would have been like 3 years ago. And I was just baking everything under the sun and all the different sweets, and I was trying all the recipes and really enjoying it. So one of the things that I made were cake pops, and I made them multiple times because they were freaking delicious. I usually made white cake pops with white chocolate and white cake mix and white frosting, and I think I like those better actually. You can kind of, without the very strong chocolate, you can kind of taste the different flavors in between the cake and the frosting and the coating, you can taste that more, whereas with this, it's just everything is chocolate. It's so chocolate. If you like chocolate, then you'd probably, you'd probably like that. So if you're a chocolate fiend, making a chocolate cake, mixing it with chocolate frosting, and then dipping that in chocolate would probably be a good option for you. Also, obviously, if you're making black cats for Halloween, that's what you gotta do. That one's eyes are a little wonky. You might see I'm kind of leaving little holes / slits in the middle of these little, as I'm doing the eyes, like pupils with the yellow beam, the irises. And then when that's a little bit, when I've done that, I'm kind of doing an assembly line of doing one thing at a time. So I'm gonna go back and do the orange when I've done a number of yellows. And I don't know if I'm gonna get through all of these. I might get tired and just go back and finish the others, because they're getting up to where they're filling the bottom of this thing anyway, and I don't want them obviously just smush into each other, because then they'll just ruin the frosting and then it will all be for naught. So that's always nice. It's always easier to make things not awkward when somebody's funny and when you think each other are funny, because then if something awkward happens, you can just laugh and it's not like awkward silence. You can just laugh about things being awkward. That's very helpful. And there they are, my little bitty kitties. My little cake pops. With their delicious pumpkin friends. Delicious. I think that one's my favorite. So thank you so much for watching. I will be seeing you in the next video. Bye!